Hey everyone, Alyssa and I are back again for another 2-Minute Tuesday. This time we are sitting down with our partner solutions architect from AWS, Ryan Vanderwerf, and we are very
Hello.
excited because we are discussing all things cloud security.
Happy to be here.
I guess to just start off, how did you end up at AWS?
I worked for a partner and attended reInvent several times and got to take in the culture. And a good friend of mine, one of my best friends, works at AWS. So we chatted, and his boss actually chatted over a couple of reInvents. And eventually it just became the right time for me to move and kind of do something else. I had been an engineer most of my life. I've been a CTO, I've been a director, had all kinds of roles at tech companies and mostly startups, but working with a variety of partners at AWS has been very fulfilling. I get to do lots of different types of work and meet lots of different kinds of people. It's very exciting and fulfilling.
Well, that's awesome. And we're super glad that we've had the opportunity to cross paths with you. So I think the first question in relation to cloud security is, a lot of companies are transitioning right now, and some have adopted a hybrid model. And obviously, the transition takes a long time when you migrate. So can you maybe just speak to how maybe you've helped guide others during their journey, or just anything around migrating to the cloud?
Yeah, absolutely. So, there's a number of companies that are running in AWS or in the process of moving a lot of their infrastructure to AWS. And most large enterprises, they take a 2 to 4 year plan to come up with a way to migrate everything into the cloud, right? You can't just do it all at once. You have to pick low-hanging fruit first and then move forward with that. It's also important to realize that a lot of barriers to migrating to the cloud are not technical, but they're cultural and business oriented. So you need to have executive buy-in and a plan of how you're going to have your transition work in the cloud. That is the most important part, because if you don't have executive buy-in and you don't have a top-down approach and a plan, it's much less likely to be successful when you're trying to move everything out. And some things you have to decide whether you're going to re-platform or lift and shift, or maybe retire some systems and not move them. All of those things have to be done, throughout a process that takes time.
I didn't know that it takes that long. That I can understand why it's such a big undertaking. Especially at the pace that technology changes anyway. Is there often conflicts with that of migrating?
Absolutely. So we have a lot of customers that have their own data centers or they're hybrid, and they say we've invested in this infrastructure and we either want to keep using it, or we've already paid for it. So why are we saving money going to AWS? And it's really just flipping the costs of the business from a capital expenditures model to a cost model of just usage. And that makes a huge difference, because that requires much less larger outlays of capital than you would normally need. And all the costs of maintaining data centers, power, technical staff, security, all of those things are on you. Running at AWS, when you're running in the cloud, we have a shared responsibility model where, we're taking care of the facilities and the power and the physical access to all of these devices. And then the user responsibility is the part where they have to keep their operating system patches up to date and do those types of things. And that's where partners like SecureWorks can help you manage that user portion of the shared responsibility model and making sure that things are kept secure.
Right. And one question that I think is a good follow-up question to that would be customers moving workloads. So question around that: are customers moving workloads faster than they can secure them? in your experience, or can you touch on that a little bit?
So customers are obviously moving at different paces. Different organizations have a different rhythm, and I don't think they try to move faster than they can secure them. I mean, it's really important to understand that whether you're in on-prem or in the cloud, people are going to try to, with malintent, are going to try to find a server anywhere, and they're going to try to break into it and get into your system and cause harm, right? So we have team security specialists that watch that. It's when it's running in the cloud, it's easier for us to be able to shut down abusers, because if they're violating the terms of service of AWS, we can quickly turn them off. So in a lot of ways, moving to the cloud is more secure than bad actors coming from all kinds of different places that you may not be able to shut off the flow as easily. And so secure, say a server running on EC2, this is a problem before the cloud services, and it's before the internet. Bad actors were always trying to abuse things and get in and cause harm and get data off of your systems, whether it's on-prem or whether it's in the AWS. So I think with AWS, you've got security services around that and a huge team of security engineers at AWS looking for abuse that gives you much better odds in that respect.
That makes sense. So how do customers work with AWS to get the skills they need for cloud security?
That's a great question. So you can go to our website for our training division at AWS called aws.training, and there's a lot of free courses on there to go over and prepare for taking things like exams. You can get foundational kinds of certifications to learn AWS. You have business professional, you have cloud practitioner, you can do specialty certifications like security specialist. And also part of our partners have training offerings as well to help you prepare for those exams, including our own T&C organization. And there's a lot of free things you can find at aws.training to help start your journey and learning how to get a handle on these types of services and better your own knowledge of them.
That's great. Definitely some good resources to share when we do post this out on our platform. So thank you. We'll definitely include that. I think one last thing I wanted to ask you would be kind of a overarching question. If you had to say, what's one thing you wish every customer knew about AWS security? And I know that is all encompassing. It's an interesting question, and it might be hard to pick one thing, but if you had to pick one, what would be one thing you wish every customer knew about AWS security? Or maybe two.
Well, AWS, security is always job one ahead of everything else. And the one thing I would like people to know the most of is our shared responsibility model. Understand which portions we're going to take care of for you and which portions are your responsibility, right? We don't know necessarily what kind of applications you're running on your cloud account. We're not, your privacy is completely yours. And so it's your responsibility to make sure any applications or libraries you're using to build your system are patched and up to date. Your operating systems are patched and up to date. Understanding where the responsibilities lie, so you know what parts you're responsible to cover, and then you can leverage partners like SecureWorks to come in and help you cover what those are. So I think some people maybe make assumptions and they don't know. So I think the starting of the conversation is this shared responsibility model that everyone should be aware of when they're using cloud. And this is just in cloud in general, this is going to be the case, right? And you could do things to kind of move where that line is of shared security model. Like you can use some of our services like AWS Lambda and serverless, Fargate types of things where you're not responsible for patching the operating system. So if that's not your forte, you can build services in that way and kind of move the shared responsibility model up away from you a little bit. So that's definitely my top thing.
Yeah, it's good to hear you re-emphasize that, because I had heard that on a podcast before too, is just understand what your responsibility is, and then you'll, have the best partnership that you can have. So before we go, where can people learn more about you and work with you?
So you go to the Amazon Partner Network. If you go to amazon.com/APN, you can read about how to join the partner network if your company is interested in being a part of that. We have a lot of resources for companies to leverage partnership and work together, and we can certainly help you with a better together type of story. And we have a lot of teams when you sign up for AWS, to help you throughout that journey. So definitely go check that out and do some reading, and you can get a hold of me at ryvan@amazon.com.
Perfect. We will be sure to include all of that in the description when we post this. But Ryan, thank you so much for sitting down to us, and I will toss it over to Allyssa for our closing remarks.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan. This was fun. We definitely learned a lot. So we're honored to have you on our 2 Minute Tuesday show.
All right. Thank you for having me.